second, guys. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, we should be live here. Hello, everybody. I just wanted to come on and do a brief update on all the storms we could have soon. It's not any major storms. I don't think anything will be major where we see a major tornado outbreak. Nothing like that. However, we could see a couple of pretty bad storms tomorrow morning, and we're gonna get into this. So, we have a slight risk of severe weather tomorrow. Well, actually, we have a slight risk today as well as for portions of the Panhandle today. But this is not our main concern. This slight risk is not our main concern for this week. However, we can get into this a little bit. We do have a brief tornado threat for us. For a small portion of the Panhandle. A lot of this is going to be for the neighboring state of Kansas. But we do have a quite intense wind risk in this area that includes Elkhart, Guymon, Hooker, Beaver, Buffalo, going all the way into Kiowa. So we could see some strong windstorms later tonight. But we do have another pretty high hail threat. These are all sig ones. So Keys, Kais, how do you say it? Goodwell, Guymon, Hooker, Tyrone, Turnipin. You guys all need to be looking out for severe weather soon. Possibly later today. Now let's actually get into what the radar could look like over the next couple of hours. Now, I'm not going to stay live until the storms actually happen because it's uncertain if storms do happen, right? This happens all the time. I mean, they have a risk of severe weather, but they never get severe weather in it. However, it looks like we could actually see a couple of storms go up around 6 p.m., which is literally in a couple of minutes, which is actually pretty accurate. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch. And severe thunderstorm warning literally, actually not that far from us. This is on the Colorado side of the tri-states here. But yeah, we definitely do have. It's a severe thunderstorm warning just got canceled, but this area here do have a couple of storms going up. I'm not sure if these are going to be a problem for us. For we have to have a problem, the storm would have to start moving southeast or form in the Panhandle of Texas or New Mexico. However, let's actually see. How do I? Okay. Let's jump back to the models. Okay. However, these storms there could be more storms that form and end up, one might form up in the middle of the Panhandle here. So hail, strong winds, maybe a rotating storm will be possible. Now tomorrow is where it gets interesting. Tomorrow we have a slight risk of severe weather across much of the state. Weatherford, Elk City, Oklahoma City, Pauls Valley, Ada, McAllister, Fort Smith, Tulsa, Bartlesville, Ponca City, Enid, Fairview, Woodward, Alva, and Buffalo are all in the risk of severe weather tomorrow. We actually do have a low but not zero tornado threat that includes the Stillwater, Enid, Helena, Medford, Ponca City, Pawnee, Tulsa, Bartlesville, Vinta, Miami, and Grove area. So anywhere in the spring could see a tornado warning. I wouldn't say we're going to see a tornado. Usually it's going to be weak. But still, there is a tornado threat tomorrow. We do have a very widespread wind risk, however, though. We have a wind risk that includes areas like Buffalo, Woodward, Fairview, Weatherford, Oklahoma City, Pauls Valley, Ada, McAllister, Fort Smith, Tulsa, Bartlesville, Stillwater, yeah. So basically, northern Oklahoma into central Oklahoma. And then a hail threat, this is by far our most concerning risk. We actually do have a SIG 1 on our 50% hail risk that includes strictly Alva, Fairview, Enid, Ponca City, Bartlesville. So if you're in this hatched and black corridor, This is where the strongest hail could be, and even around it, there still could be some strong hail. I don't think this continues into Monday. Yeah, we don't know a huge severe weather is coming Monday. It's just gonna be a widespread marginal risk of severe weather that includes literally the whole state. So the whole state could get into a couple storms, but nothing major. Now you notice I put at this tomorrow at the start of tomorrow, which is Father's Day. So we may have to cover storms on Father's Day, but it looks like what we could see is a little bit of storm action, literally around 1 a.m. This is the remaining storms from Kansas today. Around Pocket City, Bedford, Stillwater, and Alma. These storms could produce some large hail. You can see on the future radar, you can see we have a couple pockets of some large hail here near Bedford, a couple more over here by Alva, and then a long Congo line of them near Pocket City and Stillwater. Now, I'm not sure if these are the storms that are carrying the risk. Let's actually look at a couple more models a couple more runs that actually go out a little bit farther, and we're actually not even on the wait, how far does this risk go? How far did this one go off? This goes out till 10 a.m. tomorrow. So we gotta go to the 6Z, baby. Yeah, we'll do 6Z. Yes, so I think what's gonna happen is we are gonna, so here you can see we're gonna see storms likely going up around 7 p.m. only, around Alva and Medford. And you can see these things are going to be producing some huge hail. Look at this. This is one of the first times on Weatherfront I've seen the models be picking up 80 on the DBZs. This is basically as high as it gets probably. Actually, let me just see. Let me test it. It's somewhere around 80, I know. Yeah, we're in the 73 DBZs. It looks like our highest. Yeah, it peaks at 73. So we could see some really large hailstorms up here, and that's why the hail risk is so big. But then the risk carries on into the Clio Springs area. And you can see we still do have the intense hail core here. And you can see where this one peaks at 70, and it looks like an L. It's actually really funny. It looks like an L. But not funny when you're getting hit by something like this. But then the risks the storms will gradually make progress, moving southeast, or southwest, however, we'll see. But a couple more hail cores are still going to be popular. Chester, Sea Lake, Fairview, Drummond, Sumner, Sumner. But then it should fizzle out before it reaches Oklahoma City. But Watonga, Clio Springs could still get in a couple storms. Then, quiet night until around 1 a.m. We could see a couple of storms from Kansas up here in northwestern Oklahoma, but that shouldn't be a huge issue. But also, I do want to note that we do have a couple of storms possible later tonight as well. Not exactly. Yeah, sorry, I just don't know how to explain it. But thankfully, it should be quiet after all of that. Actually, we will actually see here. I don't know if the map is experiencing an issue or it's just. Oh, but we should be relatively quiet over the next couple of days after. Once again, we do have a marginal risk of severe weather on Monday. However, it's statewide. However, I do not think we will see a huge amount of storms or tornado outbreak. No, we could actually go into a little bit more closer and see if there even is anything that happened. Oh, but yeah, the models are predicting we could see a couple storms in far northern Oklahoma later tonight. Maybe a little farther. is 9 a.m. Sorry, I'm just trying to find a good model run. If that goes out till Monday, this is out. Okay. What about 18Z? This looks good. Look like. What? The timestamp is like broken. Interesting. We can see as early as 7 a.m. we could see storms up there in the panhandle here. In the dry area. But the worst storm should stay just for the north, but again, this is the H-triple-R model. Any model can be wrong. Just the H-triple-R tends to be more correct. So that's why we're using it, but any model can be wrong, so you still need to seriously be relaying off from national weather to actually happens. However, over the east part of the state, that's gonna be the main spotlight tomorrow, or Monday. Even though this is low risk, we can see a couple intense hailstorms still. You can see right here. This is picking up 74, maybe. No, not 74. We're still at 73 here, but just outside of the state, we might hit a 74. 76 in Rudy, Arkansas. Yeah, this broken line of storms could be quite intense as it reaches across the eastern part of the state. So I would be looking out in Skokie for a couple of intense storms that surround areas around Muskogee as well. There we go. Now that echo should be fixed if it was still echoing. I want to see if there's any excessive rainfall outlooks, anything major on the excessive rainfall outlook. It's loading up. Loading up. Why aren't you working? It's worked all day until now. Okay, did end up loading. Tomorrow we do see a quite elevated flash flooding risk. We'll pull up data for this, but you can see we do have a day 2 a slight risk of excessive rainfall that includes a large portion of eastern, northern, and starting to go into central Oklahoma. So flooding could become a real concern. Actually, let's see how much rain we could get tomorrow. Does this model really not get out to there? I guess we'll do a bit more of an earlier model then. No. I don't believe it. Is this the wrong thing? Wait, total QRPF. So we could see a couple areas. So I'm not seeing a huge flooding threat on the models, but that could obviously change. But right now, I'm not seeing a huge flooding threat. But yeah, I'm not seeing a huge flooding threat. Okay, I'm gonna end off the weather update because I think I gave out all the information I need to. Actually, hold on. We're gonna go into one more thing here. Okay. But yeah, even day 4, day 4, no risk for day 4. Day 5, nothing, nothing, nothing. So um after our severe weather is done today, tomorrow, and maybe a little bit on out on Monday, we should be done for quite a while. So thank you guys for watching. If you're watching after this, because it's gonna be an update, it's gonna be cut from here now, so we can do something else. But bye for now. Okay, when we end the live stream, I'm gonna cut it there. But now, chat, we get to go to a different scene. There we go. And we're gonna do something. And we're probably not gonna keep it on for that long now that I think about it. Yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah, I changed my mind. We're gonna stay to the weather topic. I thought about doing something else real quick, but I guess I'll just answer some questions and look at models, and maybe even just hang out. I guess for a little bit. But these storms are moving. These storms up here in Kansas are moving just southernly. So So these storms could make it down to the state. These would have to be some long tracking. Wait, are they moving? Um, they're moving east. Okay, they're moving east at 15 miles an hour. So you should stay away from us. But any storm that forms inside of the Panhandle is probably gonna stay with us for a while. Which thankfully none of them are right now. I'm not saying any storm threats right now. Everything should stay to our north. I don't think that could change soon. Nothing going on down here. But before I end it, I guess we'll do a little temperature forecast because I'm probably gonna end the stream soon. But first we'll go through a normal cycle of weather. So it looks like we are gonna stay in the 80s across much of the state tomorrow. So this is a tomorrow forecast, I guess. Our wind height's not gonna be huge, so but it looks like most of the winds across the state are coming from the southwest, and so they're moving northeast, and especially where we could see some winds. I have not saw. Hold on, let me change that to How do I do this? How do I change the scales? Here, miles an hour. I'm not using knots. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to deal with it. We could see subwinds of let's see, we could see subwinds of 30 to 40 knots. Let's actually get our actual knots tracker. This is just showing where the winds are coming from. And across the board, many of the winds are actually coming from the southwest. But right now, looking to the state, let's actually look at what the wind could actually be. Here, You can see, yeah, we're seeing winds of 21 miles an hour early tomorrow morning in the Fairview area. So it could be a little bit of a windy morning, not a super windy morning, but a little bit of a windy morning. However, basically aside that, that's all of our severe weather risks. That's everything we need to talk about for tomorrow. For tomorrow, I guess a little bit of today. So goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.